Here are the moments I think you should know about from episode 75 of Beyond the Gates. But first, a big old thanks to Mike Manning for chatting with me on Instagram Live. That video was posted. It's about 40 minutes long, but we talked about so much. We talked about representation, how it's really cool to see two gay dudes married on this show, an interracial couple at that, on this show, daytime television, the first one ever. We also talked about what he's most looking forward to here in the next month, and no surprises there. It's Martin's big reveal, the big secret, how it's going to impact everyone. And also, we mentioned some of his prior work, which I didn't know he was on Days of Our Lives. So I took a stroll down memory lane. I think you all know I used to watch Days of Our Lives with my grandmother. So my eyes are a little red because I watched the episodes involving John Black dying. You know, the actor Drake Hogestyn passed away a few months ago. So they had to build that into the show because they knew what was going to happen. But yeah, seeing Marlena hugged up on John, and then what really got me, and I love the writers for this, they brought back Zach. Now, if you remember, well, I'm digging deep for this. If you remember, Zach was Bo and Hope's child, and his daughter with Carly, if I remember that correctly, she ran Zach over and killed him. This is the moment Hope found out Zach was indeed dead. That's Lexi. And that's Chelsea, who killed him on accident.
No, 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 no.
And then his organs were donated, his eyes, corneas were donated to Abe so he could see again. And then I think his liver or something was donated to Sierra. Anyway, seeing Zach all grown up behind the pub in Bo's like dream state, like it hit me really hard. And I think it goes to show that whenever you build a world, it doesn't matter that I haven't watched Days of Our Lives in like 10 years, 5 years. I watched the stuff that was on Peacock, like the Days After Sunset or something. Anyway, it just shows whenever you build a world, you can hop back into it, just like I did. And I was feeling all those emotions because I remember, like I said, whenever Zach died, I remember all the times Marlena and John were together. And I just think it goes to like show you how special soap operas are. And I'm so excited that we are getting this world built for us here in Fairmont Crest, thanks to the one and only Michelle Valjean, along with Sheila Ducksworth and so many more people who I don't know their names, because I want to share this with my children, and I want to share this with my grandchildren. And, you know, in 60 years, whenever I'm probably long gone, they may have the same reaction to characters passing away on the show. Anyway, that's an aside, but that's just on my heart because, yeah, no, I don't cry on the internet, but yeah, that's what I was doing for like the last hour because it was just so touching and emotional. Okay. Beyond the Gates, episode 75. We'll start off with Smitty. He comes, actually, I think the episode starts with him. Samantha's there, and she's working on a project or a paper about human sexuality. And she asks her dad, how does gay sex work? And then he proceeds to spit out his water because he's like, what are you doing? Well, Martin signed off on this class in a cloud because his brain has been on this incident that happened 2 years ago. It happened 2 years ago. I thought it would happen a long time ago. I think most of us did. But you know what? That just lends to the credibility that Martin, there's something going on in there. He needs to get this worked out. But Martin signed off on the class, and that's kind of the scenes we get with them. Then Martin comes back after he has harassed the busboy, threw him up against the wall. Martin briefly sees Naomi, who is triaging Ashley, who's at the country club and saying, why did you let Derek propose to me? This is crazy. But whenever Martin gets home, Smitty says, what is going on? I need to know what's going on. I bring up Marcel, you start talking about your dreams, and he's still lying to him. And if you watch the Instagram Live, you'll see that all this distance between Martin and Smitty, it was intentional, obviously. Us soap fans, and maybe not me, but many soap fans don't understand the world building that's happening. it would be so crazy if they gave us this happy couple, Martin and Smitty, and then a month from now, we find out this big secret that he's not told his husband. It would just be so jarring. But the big reveal is going to be believable because we know Smitty doesn't know. And hopefully he connects the dots, and that's how we find out. So excited to see that big reveal because, again, Martin is still lying to Smitty about what happened. Can I look flawless like Madison and Chelsea and Joey and Vanessa after sex? Just asking because they all had a romp in the sheets, and our scenes today come back out to them and they're just buttoning up, tidying up. Baby hair is still laid, honey. But Madison and Chelsea are getting serious. Madison, they had kind of like a little squabble, I guess their first lover's quarrel over Chelsea getting on her phone. And Chelsea kind of explained, like, this is my work. Like, I have to do this she said something, maybe I'm making the day of a mom who's at home and I'm helping her sell jewelry, or maybe I'm inspiring some kid in Tulsa, which shout out to Tulsa. I lived there for a few years, but she said, maybe I'm inspiring a kid from Tulsa to let them know life is going to be okay. And whatever you're going through, you're going to get through it. Anyway, Madison saw the point and she's like, I would have never seen you if it wasn't for you being on your phone. But also, she said the best connections can be made, in person. And then they proceed to kiss. And then Joey and Vanessa go back to negotiating. And right as they're getting into like the meat of things, or they just finished having sex, Doug comes in, and good for Doug. This is the first time that I've said yes. Like, this is how you take control of a situation. You take control of your gambling habit. I wish he would take control of his gambling habit like he did of this conversation. He told Joey to leave. Joey threatened him, and he softened his stance a little bit. But first, before that, Vanessa tried to butt in, and he said, the men are talking. And, I'm not a misogynist, but Vanessa's a man. Did you know that? Vanessa is a man in her thinking. I think that there are so many women who, are cisgender, and I'm just spitballing here. But like, I've met several women who think like men, whether it's in terms of business and their relationships. And yeah, I think Vanessa is a man on the inside. But I liked whenever Doug was just like, this is between the men. And she shut up because that's her husband. And then they have a conversation, and she's mad at him for being so terse. I think that's the word. For being so feisty with Joey and saying how dangerous he is. And he's like, well, you're laying up on a poker table with them. So what's going on? But then I love their united front whenever he comes back in the room. And Doug tells Joey, I think we need 20% and we're going to split it 10% each on commission. So good for Doug taking back a little bit of his manhood and showing Joey that you just don't get to push me around and then get in business with my wife. I alluded to this earlier, but Ashley comes running into the country club and lets Naomi have it. Says, why did you go ring shopping with Derek? Why did you let him propose to me? You should have known me as your best friend that I wasn't ready to get married. And at first Naomi's like, hey, okay, like slow down. I just thought I was being a good friend. But they get to drinking, they're taking shots. And Naomi does say, I could have just pushed back on that. Maybe I could have stopped this from happening. But what they're getting at really, and there were some good scenes where, the lines were like, I don't know who else she could be interested in. I think Derek was saying that to Jacob. And then it flashes to Andre, and he's on the screen. And Dani, she said the same thing to Andre. Like, are you sure there's no one else you're interested in? And then the camera pans and it goes to Ashley. And I don't believe, it was not an accident, obviously, because we're world building here. It was not an accident that Ashley and Andre delivered a baby in like the first or second week of this series. You just don't put those two together, have a kid named after them, and then don't set them up to be in some sort of relationship. Now, I am very sad that Dani may get her heart broken again, and she is doing everything she possibly can by saying like, are you sure there's no one else? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because they're about to go public. She has a kind of a meltdown with him regarding Kat and Chelsea knowing. And she finally says, I'm scared. I'm scared that, what Bill did to me, you could do to me. I was married to this man, turned a blind eye to his cheating, and then he dumps her for her daughter's best friend. And so Dani is kind of, putting it all out there. So I hope Andre doesn't break her heart. Okay, like I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, Instagram Live with Mike Manning, it's posted, go watch it. And if you watch to the very end, let me know in the comments who you think I should have on next.